David Parker Ray was born on November 6, 1939, in Bellum, New Mexico. As a child, he and his younger sister, Peggy Pearl Ray, were raised by their strict grandparents to escape poverty and an abusive alcoholic father. Throughout high school, Ray struggled academically and faced ridicule due to his extreme shyness around girls. As a teenager, he turned to alcohol and drugs, falling into a destructive lifestyle. Shortly after turning 18, Ray joined the U.S. Army and later worked as a maintenance worker for the state of New Mexico Parks. It was during his employment for the state parks that he began to lure sex workers back to his home in Elephant Butte, New Mexico. He often got help from his daughter, Glenda Jean Jessie Ray, to attract women from local bars. Ray's girlfriend, Cindy Hendy, who he had met at the New Mexico State Parks in 1997, also played a role in kidnapping his unsuspecting victims. As their relationship progressed, Ray took it upon himself to train Hendy in the appalling acts of kidnapping and torture. To carry out his twisted plans, he lured unsuspecting victims into his vehicles by offering payment for their services or by impersonating law enforcement. Once inside the vehicle, Hendy would subdue them in one of many torturous ways before they knew what was happening. Ray and Hendy would then take their victims back to his residence, where the true horror of his sick plan unfolded. In the backyard of Ray's home in Elephant Butte, New Mexico, sat an inconspicuous cargo trailer. What neighbors didn't know was that Ray had secretly transformed this trailer, investing a considerable amount of effort and resources into creating what he ominously referred to as the toy box. The trailer had been soundproofed and filled with restraints, chains, pulleys, whips, and an assortment of sexual tools. The whole design was specifically aimed at isolating and controlling his victims, allowing him to subject them to sexual torture, and sadly, it is presumed that some had been murdered. However, no bodies have been discovered as of the posting of this video. Ray was meticulous in planning his sadistic acts, ensuring his victims suffered physically and emotionally while he relished in their pain. Hendy, who would later testify against him at trial, also participated in these heinous acts. But what made the toy box killer even more terrifying was a lengthy audio tape he played for each of his victims before their assaults. These tapes described in explicit detail the horrors they were about to endure, serving as a means to break their spirits and coerce compliance. The psychological torment inflicted on these women was so extreme that escaping such a nightmare seemed impossible. One of Ray's victims vividly described her experience as akin to living through hell. Haunted by the tapes she had heard, she still hears them in her nightmares. The toy box killer's reign of terror went unnoticed for years. He operated in the shadows, leaving the community unaware of the darkness lurking among them. But on March 22, 1999, after enduring 3 days of captivity, a very brave young woman named Cynthia Vigil managed to escape from the trailer. Seizing an opportune moment when Ray had left for work, she used keys that Hendy had carelessly left on a nearby table to unlock her chains. However, Hendy caught wind of Vigil's escape attempt, leading to a fierce altercation. Amid the struggle, Hendy struck Vigil on the head with a lamp, but despite the attack, Vigil managed to free herself from the chains and defend herself. She grabbed an ice pick and stabbed Hendy in the neck. With her attacker incapacitated, Vigil, still wearing only an iron slave collar and padlocked chains, made a desperate dash for freedom. She ran down the road seeking help until she reached the residence of a compassionate homeowner who offered her refuge and comfort. The homeowner quickly notified the police. After the escape of Cynthia Vigil, the investigation unfolded, leading the police to discover the horrifying torture chamber and exposing the toy box killer's disturbing secrets. The FBI even dubbed the chamber Satan's Den because of a chilling red sign on its interior wall. As the truth came to light, the community was deeply shaken, struggling to comprehend the horrifying reality that such malevolence could hide in their midst. The actions of the toy box killer had a profound and enduring impact on the victims and their families. A week into his trial for crimes against Cynthia Vigil, Ray agreed to a plea bargain and was sentenced in 2001 to 224 years in prison for numerous offenses in the abduction and sexual torture of 3 young women at his Elephant Butte home. The plea deal was to obtain leniency for his daughter, who was charged with kidnapping and criminal assault. She pled no contest and received a 30-month sentence with an additional 5 years. On May 28, 2002, Ray was taken to the Lee County Correctional Facility in Hobbs, New Mexico, to be questioned by state police, per his plea deal, about the murder of several of his victims. Unfortunately for the victims and their families, Ray died of a heart attack before the interrogation took place. After her ordeal, Cynthia Vigil co-founded Street Safe New Mexico, a volunteer harm reduction nonprofit. This organization focuses on assisting sex workers and other vulnerable individuals living on the streets, encouraging positive change in individuals to protect themselves and others from the negative consequences of recreational drug use and sexual activity often experienced with life on the streets. David Parker Ray was arrested, but the pain and suffering he caused cannot be undone. His crimes serve as a chilling reminder that true evil can take many forms. If you or someone you know needs help or support, please check the resource link in the description below. Meanwhile, stay vigilant and aware, TTHL enthusiasts, and remember, shedding light on the darkness is crucial to prevent history from repeating. Thank you for joining us for this terrifying tale. And as always, we'll be here, waiting at the crossroads of light and shadow, in search of our next terrifying tale or haunted location. If you found this video informative, please consider liking and sharing it with your friends. Also, make sure to subscribe to our channel to stay updated on all of our upcoming content.